handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all the men in power want? More power.
We're live.
And now, broadcasting live from deep within the borders of occupied liberal territory known as California, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slave.
Hi, guys. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM. Today is another beautiful Sunday, and we have a very interesting show. As you know, me and K-Talks, we had sometimes our differences of opinions. I mean, this is pretty much normal, I guess. Otherwise, it would be boring. About politics, economics. But we both believe in the First Amendment, and the fact that I'm here to express my opinions every Sunday live for 2 hours with no restrictions or control, I need just to comply with the FCC rules, is the proof. I mean, it's the proof. Today, I want to thank again Dave Hayes for that, because this is a great opportunity for that. I really believe First Amendment should be something that we should all treasure. Now, the last few months, since I started the show, I always had guests. I agree with them most of the basic philosophical, economical principles, okay? But today I wanted to bring a different type of guest, a different point of view. We don't need always to agree. And the point that we want to show that we really believe in the First Amendment, this must be the point. I want to bring people that I don't agree with. I don't want to preach to the choirs. I want to get people that we may maybe learn from each other, maybe influence each other in a positive way. Or if we can't, that's fine. We move on. But this is what is about America. I really believe in that, okay? So anyway, today I want to bring a different type of guest. He's a congressional candidate for the Democratic Party. He's a political activist in our community in Mojave County, Arizona. And I would consider him my political antichrist. Oh! Okay? 1 second, Mike. I know you're there. But I have very high respect for this man, okay? For two reasons. First of all, because he came here in the studio, not, concerned about to be challenged on his beliefs in the arena of the ideas. And I tell you something, I'm very disappointed with many Republicans, without mentioning any name. Doris Goodale, give you an example, okay? For example, come on. We shouldn't be afraid to debate ideas in a civil way. I'm civil, and I know Michael is too, and especially, civilized. You're right. Thank you for the help. I have some sort of a help here. He's a professor, by the way. He's a teacher. No. Anyway, so the point, we need to help each other in communicating better with each other. So I really thank Mike today, first of all, for being here, to at least coming here to accept this exchange of ideas. Then another thing also I want to say about Michael. Me and Michael, we may be completely on the opposite side of some political spectrum, if you want to, on this table. But the point is, the fact Michael at least is a person that is not afraid to show his colors. It is not like a sneaky spy, like we have many in the Republican parties, that they say one thing during the elections and then they stab us in the back another way. And I think this is very important because regardless of our difference of ideas, I would defend this man's freedom of speech with my life if I have to. And just in case, sometimes I start to receive interesting emails or I see boards, people that maybe don't agree with me. That's fine. We don't need to agree. As I said, honestly, I'm happy when I see people we don't agree. At least I know that there is some sort of thinking there and we don't need to be all the same. But I remind you that in this studio, even we are in the occupied territory of California, and we don't have private security. I always have good company with me, okay? So I always do that every time on the show. This is about freedom. It's not about violence, but the bottom line, this security, this studio is kind of safe, even without private security and without the government help. Anyway, now, let me get 1 second, because Michael, I know, is ready to rumble here. Michael, you're not live yet. 1 second only, okay? Anyway, let me just go through the introduction. I'm almost finished your introduction. First of all, I will give Michael today 2 full hours to share his beliefs and political agenda since he's running for U.S. Congress for the Democratic ticket for Arizona, 4th District. I will have questions for him. He will be able to answer. And of course, I will say my commentary and bring my point of views. There will be no screaming, no yelling. We don't have to change each other's mind, okay? We'll bring a civil and passionate exchange of ideas.
Yes.
In this symbolic arena of the ideas, we will fight until the last, where is my word, okay? Not sword, but anyway, we got also sword, plastic sword here, okay? And what else? I would like to also remind that the main goal for me of this show is not to entertain, but to educate each other, learning from each other, and hopefully find common ground to unite as Americans to take our basic rights back. Okay? Don't forget that the second hour, I will also open the calls. So you can call in. And just to let you know, let me give you the number right now so I don't forget, 1-800-842-1340. 1-800-842-1340. So you can call in. The call, they are not censored. I mean, we don't put any type of filters, but please just comply with the FCC rules, okay? Otherwise, I need to block you. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Now, before we start, Michael is here. I would like to 1 second only remember the sponsor, because this is differently from the government. We do not point a gun at your face to get your money. We just politely ask. We are in the capitalist system of free market. That means, we offer a service and people, if they like it, they pay us. So the first sponsor that we would like to thank, and really appreciated that, it's MP Gun Sales from Fort Mojave. It's a great gun store, and also they have also a great service of gunsmith, and they know a lot of stuff. I mean, they're very knowledgeable. They're exactly located in front of Maverick on Highway 95, 4470. They have a phone number, 928-444-5905. And also you can go to their website, hempguns.com, and as like Naples, and NaplesPapaGuns.com, okay? Ask for Neil, he's a great guy. Then another sponsor we have, it's the Great Colorado River Vapor. It's a great shop, great people, they live in freedom, also gun owners. And ColoradoRiverVapor.com. Also, you can go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com, and I have a beautiful link on the homepage with their photos or their logo. They go straight to their website or their Facebook. So thank you again for the sponsor. And now, 1 second. We have here, it's my pleasure and honor to have Mikel Weisser. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you doing, Luca?
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me. This is an exciting thing to do.
Yes, it is. Because as I was saying before, I think one of the most important things we still have left in America for now is the freedom of speech.
Yes.
Okay? And sometimes we are trapped and conditioned about, they try to separate us. I really believe there is a plan. There is like the man behind the curtain, as you want to call it.
Right.
Try to keep the American people fighting each other, sometimes on important topics. Sometimes they're just petty topics. Because meanwhile, they like a magician. He moves something with his right hand.
Yes.
Meanwhile, he's doing the trick with the left hand, okay? And I'm not meaning this in a political way. The point is we are being separated, and sometimes we don't know each other very well enough. So my goal today is to know you more. Especially, I know you're running for office.
Yes.
And the people, more important, more than me, can know you better. And all I say, hey, I give you the opportunity to the listeners to know better about Mikel Weisser, the man,
right.
Even the potential politician that you will be, if you will be. And everybody can make up their mind. Simple as that. Let me put the sword away.
Yes, we won't need these.
We don't need this. They're a fun little thing. Anyway, Michael, let's start with, first of all, a little bit about you, okay? I didn't need an introduction, but I'll let you, first of all, first question for you is very simple. Who is Mikel Weisser? What is your professional background? And tell me a little bit about you so the listeners can know you better.
I'd say mostly I'm an artist activist. I've been a poet and a writer. I've been a singer and a performer, and then done a variety of jobs to afford that. Since I was 30, I've been involved in either nonprofit organizations, college, or I was a school teacher. So that's been the last 25 years of my life. I've been working to make social change towards what I thought was the right thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you grow up, I mean, every one of us has influences, sometimes a book that you read, or sometimes, a speech that you hear on television, or an act or something somebody did, that really inspire you.
Yes.
It's normal. Every one of us, especially, I think, I don't say childhood, but, as early teenagers, we have this influence that really start to shape our personality.
Right.
If you can remember a book or a speech or some sort of a fact in the...
I think probably the first book that really woke me up to a larger world that I'm thinking of is 1984 by George Orwell.
Okay.
The first book that I actually read with excitement. I had let's call it at least dyslexia as a kid. Hard time understanding how to read, and the first book that I really mastered was The Exorcist.
Okay.
I was homesick one day, and my mom said, "You're going to read something," and I said, well, "I'll take this controversial book there. Why not? Test your enthusiasm about this." And
wow.
she said, "Go ahead." I was 12, 13, something like that, and boy howdy, I learned how to read.
Okay, great. Listen, that's very important. And the question is, now. I know you had a lot of different backgrounds. I did a lot of, by the way, you are the guest that took me more time to research. Most of my week I've been studying and reading because I really want to do a fair job. I mean,
Right.
I don't want to just come here and give you the typical questions that you may find everywhere. I want to, first of all, bring facts. It is not about questions.
Yes.
I would like to support everything I'm saying with facts, and so we can share what we are about,
Right.
For example, now you're running for office, and let me remind the public exactly. You tell me, which office are you running for?
I'm running for Congressional District 4. That's the pink area on the card that I'm holding up.
Okay.
Arizona has 9 congressional districts. This one is designed to pay attention to the Colorado River and rural Arizona. You'll note that it goes entirely around Phoenix, but doesn't include the metropolitan area.
Okay. I know you also have a website. Please
Yes.
plug it.
It's www.mikelweiser.org.
Okay, perfect. And as I said, not because I believe anymore in parties. I think it's a just big division to create some sort of separation between people of America. But at the same time, I know most of the time, at least on paper, even the Democratic Party, you will probably agree with me pretty soon. We'll see if we agree. They have unfortunately completely renegade some of the principle I think they're supposed to bring up, on some topics at least. We'll see if we agree on that one. But the point is, I think the parties at the top level, I'm not talking about grassroots level, in Washington, they're all controlled by some sort of superior power that is not the American people. It has special interest, and we've been seeing that there is not much more difference between Republicans and Democrats, besides some little bit of coloring issue that sometimes they need to do just for some sort of appearances. But on the bottom line, on many issues, we want to talk about wars, we want to talk about freedoms, rights. They're pretty much standing on the same side. That means it's the bad side, the side of tyranny. That's the way I look at that. But we will go through that in a very more accurate way. Let's go back to you.
Okay.
First of all, you say you were a teacher. What
Yes.
did you teach, and when did you teach? Where did you teach?
I taught in Bullhead City at Bullhead City Junior High. I taught 8th grade social studies with first an emphasis on U.S. government and Arizona studies, and then the last several years an emphasis on 20th century American history and U.S. government.
Okay. In Italy, we never had social studies. What does exactly, maybe...
Okay.
Tell me,
Well,
what is
social
it?
studies is, to me, the most important thing that school is about. There's the whole reason you learn math is so you can understand social studies.
Okay.
Or the whole reason you learn to read is so you can read social studies. It involves the geography.
Okay.
It involves the economics.
Okay.
The history, not just American history, but world history as
Okay.
well. And economics, American history, world history, geography.
I understand. Now probably, I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't know.
And government.
I didn't know.
civics.
I was wrong. I didn't know in which how to call it. We call it in a different way. I understand now.
Yes.
Yes, we call educazione civica. I understand now. probably completely different name. Okay, interesting.
Historia in español.
Also history, but history is different. History is more the past.
Right.
Educazione civica was more about what type of form of government we have, the global geography,
Right.
The different type of economies, more important, different type of political, form of government around the world, things
Right.
like that. I understand now.
And so you can see why I would say that this was an incredibly important class because in American society, we have a lot of mass culture, which is working against discouraging people taking civic interaction, taking social responsibility. And, that's detrimental to the future of the state. So, history and social studies is like how students get reminded to become citizens. It's our avenue to pass on culture.
I agree. It's very important because on top, it's not just about mathematics, about also knowing the basic roots of our form of government and understanding also the concept of how to become interacting with the form of government and how to become citizens and in this political form that we have.
Yes.
I understand. Okay, good. So did you teach exactly what was the school that you teach in Kingman? Was it Kingman?
Well, I taught in Kingman the last 2 years at White Cliffs Middle School.
Okay.
And there I taught 8th grade English and 6th grade world history.
Okay.
And then 7th grade world history,
I mean,
or American history.
You look like a young man. I mean, did you retire? What happened to you?
Well, I had been a school teacher and run for Congress in 2012.
Okay.
And I found that I lost by 19 votes.
19 votes?
I lost in my primary by 19 votes, and that was really frustrating. And I was like, if I was going to run again, and I spent some time trying to decide whether or not I was going to run again, but I decided I would have to do it more completely, immerse myself into it, take on the challenge full-heartedly, and so I left teaching.
Okay. Anyway, we'll go back to teaching later. I said I would like to first of all go to there are a lot of topics we're going to touch today. I mean, from A to Z. Okay, and I would like to start focusing because the goal of this show for me is not about to get at people or or try to scream or stuff. I would like to find union. I would like to find a sense of strength
Yes.
through common grounds that we have. And sometimes there is an expression: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Okay, and doesn't mean that we need to be agreeing on everything. Doesn't mean that I need to vote for you. But
Right.
if we can find some very important things that we can agree and we can unite to get some basic rights together back.
Well, I would agree with something that you said in your introduction.
Yes.
And that's that you and I, as regular citizens, are on the same side because there's I'm going to call it a plutocracy, but there's an economic force behind the government that shapes the laws against the citizens.
I understand that part is
And
true.
see, that is exactly right.
Yeah.
So in the ways that we can highlight that issue and raise the public to take action against it,
I agree.
That's why we're sitting here.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start with that. First of all, I always start like that. It's basic common questions that I have with every person that come here to my show, especially they're running for office. Okay, they're running for office. Okay, I have here a copy. Let's see. It's
That's
the United States Constitution.
Yes.
And, when I wasn't born here, when I came here, I had to take an oath that we got the same. Look, we got the same copy. Here we go. And my oath was very serious because to defend this republic and this constitution. And when and if you will become an elected official,
Yes.
you have to take this oath. So even I don't want to speak for you, but I like always to ask questions because I don't assume. I need to ask questions, put you on the record. Do you support the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights? And are you ready to take an oath to uphold it and defend it?
Yes.
Good. That's simple as that. I mean, this is for me the foundation because you could have said, listen, Luca, I don't really care about the Constitution. And I would say it's your right to disagree and we move on.
But seriously, do you think that there's anybody who's going to present an opinion where they say that they don't support the Constitution? There's so many different interpretations and variations of opinion. The guy over here could say he supports the Constitution, and the guy over there could say that he supports the Constitution, have entirely different agendas.
That's the next step. You're right.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, it's proven so far that in Congress, even everybody takes an oath,
Right.
I'm sure that they have a different interpretation of this Constitution. Maybe they read
Yes.
some other book, okay? But hey, I need to start with the basic question, okay? So
Right.
at least we know we are on the same page, even we may disagree on the interpretation, okay?
Yes.
Good. Now, let's start with things that I think we may agree. For example, foreign aids. Okay. We have, for example, almost every year, and it's according to my research, you may confirm because probably you're even more expert than me, we are forced to give over $50 billion to foreign countries, while many Americans, they're out of work, lost their homes, just poor. And more important, the sad things, first of all, my first question would be, where in the Constitution, me as an American, I am forced to pay part of my tax bill to a foreign country? I don't care if it's Israel, I don't care if it's Palestine,
right.
I don't care anything. It's called charity, I would do out of my paycheck, but to be forced by the government to pay, that's sad. But more important, first of all, where is in the Constitution written that we're supposed to do that? And go to China, because the problem that we are broke, we have to borrow money from China or from the private Federal Reserve, and then we need to share it with more than over 120
I'd like to separate
countries.
the China thing and put that off and deal with the other part
Fine,
first.
go ahead.
Okay, it is not written in the Constitution. So, yeah, you're right. We can just start there. Now let's build on that question. I would agree in part to oppose the concept of foreign aid the way it's done now. The way it's done now. Because what I see, the vast majority of the foreign aid the foreign aid, air quotes aid, that we send is not humanitarian aid. It's not meant to improve the situation of the people in the other countries. It's effort at military intervention.
That's true.
It's military aid. It's advisors. It's using our military might as either bribery or a way to coerce foreign countries to aid and abet our corporate interests. And I think that's wrong. If this was the kind of radio station where you cussed, I would cuss there when I consider that kind of behavior. That said, there's my semicolon.
Okay.
That said, I think that a society has an obligation to care about the misery of others. I know that other countries around the world give a larger percentage of their GDP as humanitarian aid and less as military aid. And so if we were to end the military extortion through, quote, aid, then I'd like to see a greater increase in humanitarian aid that actually improve the lives of other countries.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, that's your opinion, and
Yes.
that's fine. Still, my point is, though, coming back to the first question.
Right.
If it's not written in the Constitution, if it is not something that I think there is no way.
It's a discretionary thing.
Discretionary, there are other things.
Right.
Even Hitler has some discretionary power, okay?
Right.
I don't think, because I believe in charity. I really do. As a personal choice,
Right.
every one of us, according to our morals, should be doing, open the paycheck. I mean, I have my little checkbook, and let's say I want to send money to Israel, I will do it out of my own paycheck book.
Right.
If I want to do Palestine, I will do the same. But not the government pointing a gun on my face,
Right.
extorting my money.
So do you make a difference between foreign aid and domestic aid?
Or we will go there.
We will go there.
But
Okay.
if I have to really start to do some aid,
Yes.
I think we have. And this is for me, I think it's before, any type of political or sociological differences. It's by common sense. I have 300 million people. We have now more than 92 million people that they are on some sort of welfare support or out of job.
Right.
Serious stuff. I think this $50 billion that we give spreading around between 120 countries would be much more sense to give them to our own people.
That's true. That's if you're thinking about like this as a sense of scarcity. Now, when I think of the disaster in Haiti, that's a human disaster of the scale that me and my little $20 won't do enough to fix. We are going to need mechanisms as large as government entities to solve big humanitarian issues. However, again, when we start talking about using our economics abroad versus at home, I think we don't do the job we should do of taking care of the American citizens.
I agree. And the only thing I say is this.
I don't see it as like either or.
I always believe that coercion, or at least the government, the functional government, we will go later, but that's my opinion. I want to ask your opinion. It is not a functional government to, without our will, to redistribute our wealth to other countries? Let's start with that before even we go into
Other countries? Sure.
Yeah, because I believe that we have enough poverty. If we were in other condition, that maybe we had different type of economics.
Wait, let me say slightly differently. I don't believe it is the responsibility or it is the obligation, let's put it that way, of our government to distribute our money to other countries. I don't think it's the obligation. I do think that it's something that can and should be done in a humanitarian way.
Okay, that's your opinion. That's
Yes.
good. Let's move to the next question. As I said, this show is not about convincing each other. Otherwise, it would take probably 2 days just to stay
Right.
on the same topic, and we still wouldn't go there. I was just trying to share different ideas and
Yes.
different point of views. Okay, now, first of all, let's start with the basic question. In your opinion, what type of government did our founding fathers create it?
I'm going to call it a democratic republic,
Okay.
which is a elected legislature, executive, and judicial, which run things, and the citizens have a certain amount of responsibility. Though I must point out, when America was started, there was only about 8% of the population was even allowed to vote. No blacks, no browns, no women, no children, no poor people. You had to have land to even vote up until 1824 election.
Okay.
In most cases, so
anyway, democratic. Okay.
republic, right?
Republic.
The idea was to select leadership who would then negotiate varied interests and come up with what was good for the general.
Okay. Question. What is the difference between a democracy and a republic, in your opinion?
Democracy is pure decision making, where the citizenry as a whole get to make decisions on the majority of the decisions that get made.
Okay.
A republic is where the citizenry select leaders, and then those leaders meet together to deal with the problems of society. I mean, I've been at the state capitol in Phoenix most of this legislative session, or much of this legislative session, seeing the kinds of issues that are created as bills. And I swear to God, the citizenry in general does not have enough time to deal with all those bills,
Of course.
and function in their revenue, in their daily job. So there are advantages to selecting leaders to battle out the issues of the direction of society. So, and that's why I say democratic republic. That's one of the definitions of the U.S. government.
Okay. One thing that according to my research and different books, and also just studying the foundations of the documents, okay, like Declaration of Independence, Constitution, and also reading a little bit about between the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers,
Right.
I realized that the word democracy itself, and it's not about partisanship things,
Right.
was very never considered by our framers, for the simple concept that in the history of humanity, look, for example, in Greece, okay?
I was headed there.
Okay, please go ahead. And if you...
Well, if you want to talk about Greece as the birthplace of democracy, it's more of the birthplace of the idea of democracy, because the places that did have, quote, democracy, again, you have the same breakdown: no slaves, no women, no foreigners. You had to be native born in your cities to get representation, and no poor people could rise. So once again, you have a small select few. What was it, 500 making the decisions in Athens, a city of 10,000? So that's not really democracy.
Okay. I would like to condense the word, according to my studies, the democracy against the republic. The republic is supposed to be a rule by law against the rule by majority. Because in the democracy, let's not forget Socrates, for example, he was voted to be killed.
Yes.
Just because of his differences of opinion, or whatever they found the excuse about that he was having love with kids or whatever, okay? The point is, the democracy now, for example, it's me, you, and Dave, okay?
Yeah.
This is our little form of government here, and me and you decide, by the way, hey, let's make it even easier. Or let's make it against me. You and Dave says, Luca must shut up. Because
That's not going to happen.
Okay, I know. But the point, you and him voted that I must shut up. that's what democracy, and I tell you, because Italy, Europe, for example, that even they call a republic, they are still democracy. They are not inalienable rights. That's the way it works. They can vote you out to take your rights. They mean properties. They mean also your inalienable rights, like freedom of speech. For example, in Italy now, if we wanted to have a radio show like this one, we should have a permit from the judge. Because this is news, you need to register with the court. That's a very old law from the Mussolini time.
You still have to also bribe Berlusconi, too.
That's another story. Berlusconi is gone. Berlusconi is gone. Honestly, Berlusconi, as much as I disagree with him with many issues, was the first time that we broke the monopoly of the state. Because RAI, the Italian RAI, maybe people don't know that, it was the only monopoly. In Italy, we didn't have many private, different, independent radios or TV. Was just one for the first 50 years since after the war, was only the state RAI, the state television. Berlusconi was the first man, even with all his corruption and different things that was wrong, at least he broke the wall to get free media, or at least other side of the media that weren't really free, still corporate media.
Multiple voices.
Multiple voices. Because now, for example, in Italy you don't have the First Amendment like we do have now. I supposed to have register my television or my radio with having a permit from the judge.
Wow.
So that's the point. Democracy, that's what it does.
America.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
And we losing it because unfortunately we will go through this together. There is things we don't understand. I don't say understand, but we don't appreciate enough because they are pretty much disappearing in front of our eyes every day. Every hour that we go through. So for me, the point is democracy, it's something that is the next step after or before tyranny. Because when you have 51% of the people that can decide to vote you out on your rights and start to say, for example, now we will go through immediately to the marijuana, okay? Marijuana legalization. That's the problem. So far, we became a democracy in some aspect. Because if we have an inalienable right, like, for example, I want to drink, okay? I like to drink wine. I don't care if 99.9% of the people decide that I'm supposed not to drink wine. It's my right. I want to drink wine.
Okay.
And I think if I don't endanger anybody else, if I do in the safety of my own home, and I pay with my own money, I don't need to ask permit to anybody to drink my wine. I don't care if the mob out there, the 51% say, you know what, we don't like morally that you drink wine. Like, for example, happened during the Prohibition.
Yes.
That was wrong,
And it was a rise from public outcry. I mean, it wasn't solely sold based on public outcry, but it did come out of like the whole progressive movement.
Exactly.
But it went wrong.
And that's for me, that's why it's so dangerous to think about that we start to mix the mob with the majority taking over our individual rights. When we agree that we have some individual rights that no government ever gave it to us, they come inalienable in us.
Inalienable, right.
So they can scream and yell, why do you think I carry this rifle here? I don't go hunting. I'm not into violence. I'm a very peaceful man. But I know at the government, for example, things like this never maybe happen now here, but one day, I remember in Europe, I wasn't there, but I heard stories. There were radio, there were people in newspapers, and you got a brown shirt breaking in. You got a black shirt breaking in. And you don't like what you say, everybody disappear. I
thought that might happen from Tea Party if I talk too much.
No, I don't think so. Because there is bad everywhere. Don't get me wrong. There are bad people everywhere.
Yes.
And sometimes, unfortunately, I always believe that we're supposed not to be guilty by association. Because if, for example, let's say somebody from your own party does something wrong. For example, I'll give you an example, speaking about my little Facebook page. I put a little post having a little funny way introducing you before the show, okay, just a few days ago. And there was a lady, I don't want to mention her name, there is no reason, that started to make fun of my grammar, okay? I didn't say all the Democrats, treat me like an idiot. But you jump immediately in and say, by the way, I understand you perfectly, Luca, I grew up among immigrants, so that's fine. So I just say, sad, because, why are you doing that? But whatever. I don't want to generalize.
I see what you're saying, yeah. In Western Arizona in particular, the politics has a certain air of hostility, and people make really angry remarks and carry on about stuff that's kind of petty. It's sad but true. I'm hoping that we can change that. That's one of the reasons I came on your show, because it gives us a chance to not just traffic in that same BS, which is what holds the people apart instead of figuring out.
Can I say
talk.
something? I've been here, I came here when I was 28. I didn't go to school. I tried to learn as much as I could. I read books, but still, I understand I have some lacks in the grammar and things like that. Still, I always tried. And I tell you, I never had a problem, okay? Sometimes people say, look, can you slow down? And that's fine. But beside that, even when I do my mistakes or things like that, and I've been around, I never had anybody in America made me feel like I was some sort of an undesirable or some sort of a weird, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe I was weird about my ideas, but they never made fun really about my English or my fact that I was an immigrant, okay? So this is my personal experience. I may say maybe everybody else different, but I want to say a but, and I don't want to generalize. I just put in statistics out. The only times I'm receiving emails or posts on my YouTube channel, they tell me, go back to Italy, and I invite you to go. I can give you a couple of YouTube. Unfortunately, come from what people want to, if you want to call them in this sort of a left. I don't even want to call it Democrat, okay?
Good.
From the left. And I don't generalize, because I know there are a lot of good people that they never would do that, like you wouldn't.
Yes.
But if I had to put my statistics down,
Right.
the only bigots, if I want to call them like that, I print them all. I have all these sort of love letters that I received.
Yes.
And they're all from the political other side of the political
I would
views.
believe that. Let me state what I think happens in this case.
Okay.
Political active speaking, political action is a skill like others, and it starts out generally with a person's outrage, or they've reached their tolerance and they feel they got to do something. Now, like any other skill, it's something that starts out immaturely. Many people, when they get to that point of now they're going to start speaking, it's because they're angry. And so they speak from their anger. They don't think things through as well as they might later. But a lot of folks, once they get to that sense of reward of, look, I got to say something angry and it mattered, they don't continue to evolve. And I'm sorry that there's so much of that going on, but that's not the kind of behavior I want to support. So when I see that, it's like, oh, please, let's go on.
I always, I've just pointed it out, but my main philosophy is I never make anybody else guilty by association. For example, let's say tomorrow there is a Democrat man that, or at least he has his little car that is a Democrat, he's a crazy guy. I don't say all the Democrats, they're crazy.
Right,
okay?
it's him.
Yeah, it's him. Right. And it's sad because, I see a lot of friends. I have friends also on the other side, okay? We have fun a little bit, we debate online. But at the end of the day, they become trapped in this sort of almost infighting. For example, the Tea Party guy was waving this flag in front of the White House. Okay, let's say, for example, he did that. Doesn't mean that the whole Tea Party, and I'm not even a Tea Party member, just to
not
let you
all
know.
the Tea Party can even make it to D.C.
Okay, exactly. So that's my point. That's it. Let's go. And by the way, I am receiving also instant messages.
Oh, good.
And I have questions,
kids.
and they say, question things. And by the way, I want people. For example, now this lady Jamie from Bullhead is talking about something with the Haiti funds. I invite Jamie to call in the second hour so you can have questions directly to Mr. Weisser, okay? Because I think that's the best way instead of me reading and debating things. I want just to have people asking questions to you.
Well, we wanted to get people excited. I mean,
Exactly.
that's part of the reason that I decided to run instead of not have opposition.
Okay, what is your position, first of all? You're going to run, you're not alone, of course. You're going to have other Democrats running.
I don't expect it.
You don't expect it?
No. Well, I'm going to go back to the map again.
Okay.
The congressional district is like designed to be predominantly Republican.
Okay.
It is... it went 70% Republican in the last election, and anything that improves from that is going to be slow and hard fought. It's something that I knew when I took on the race. It's something that I knew would be even longer and more drawn out if nobody took on the race. And I have a lifelong history of learning how to stand up and fight back against insane challenges. So why not take it on?
I give you credit because, it's like almost a samurai, You go into war, you got tanks in front of you, and you're going with your little sword, okay? That's your guitar, okay?
Guitar,
so
right.
I respect that of you, okay? Even we have maybe on some issue we're going to be pretty soon disagree, but at least I give you the credit. And I
But
like
here,
the
let
fact... Go ahead.
This is take about 2 minutes.
No problem. Go ahead.
And there's a line in it that goes, if we all wait for someone else to do it, then we'll never get it done.
You're right.
And that's the message here. This is one of my poems. I was a slam poet for a long time.
Okay.
And this is a rhymey poem. Okay.
Good.
So-
Go ahead.
Sometimes I got it going like I'm throwing full throttle, just hitting it harder than a wino hit his bottle. Sometimes I got it flying like I'm trying, no doubt, just handling the troubles we're all mumbling about, like that 100 million need, well, 100 million greed, another billion bleed, full speed from the deed. So I'm firing off the issues we all wish that they would change. Shooting off my bullets from a point blank range, and my words be traveling like vocal javelins, poking at the vicious till their minds are going unraveling. I'm chopping at the chains to keep the trust tight, cause I was born to rhyme and I'm built to fight. Yes, I'm a freedom fighter, cause I seen the light. Yeah, I want to take it high. That's why I became a writer, and I never met a battle that I wouldn't take on. Go long, stay strong, get the strong and sing along. Never met a battle that'll make me turn away. I sing my song, I write and wrong. I'll change the world someday, though some time it'll overcome me. Numb it to my tummy, watching wicked rule the world while we stand around like dummies. Sometimes seems so hopeless, just like pushers ruling dopeheads. There's no hope for overthrowers, bow cause they know this. But do I really have to tell you what you really should have guessed? None of us are free as long as some eat the oppressed. You wait for someone else to change it, then we'll never get it done. For as long as we're divided, we will never stand as one. And some may claim my aim is just the same stalk of talk, but for me, each day's a step as a stumble in my walk. Sometimes I got it flying like I'm trying, no doubt, just to handle in my candle, and I'll burn it till it's out.
Bravo, very good. I mean...
So that's why I ran.
I need to learn how to do this cadence. It's pretty interesting. It's called slam poem.
Yes,
because
that's kind of like a rap style.
Like
slam,
rap style, but okay.
There's slam poetry is a really vibrant art form that is international.
Okay.
And Arizona has several different places where we have teams that go to national competitions, and and I had been in that milieu before I saw the real importance of having somebody stand up in 2012 and take on the political voice. Good.
At least I'm some sort of a songwriter. Mostly I write lyrics for songs,
right?
But my little poetry is kind of different. But since I don't want to take the time. I want to mostly focus on you. I will just give you one line, okay? People's apathy is the fertile ground for government corruption.
Absolutely.
So that's my line, okay?
Yes.
And I would like just to say that.
Everything,
there we go. Good. So I'm glad that you go ahead and you do what you think is right according to your beliefs. So that's great.
Well, the government and mass media, they market apathy. They want society to feel like they got nothing they can do except eat bread and watch the circuses.
You're
to
right.
Make a Roman reference.
You're completely right. Let's continue. I want to keep going with this, and we're going deeper and deeper into questions. Okay.
Yes.
Now, first of all, we went. We have a formal government, republic. You said democratic republic. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I gave you my opinion about that. The difference between republic and democracy. Now, question that. People think, why are you even asking this question? But I have to, because it's very important. It's the foundation on everything else we're going to talk today.
Okay.
Do you believe in violence? Question mark. But do you believe in forcing your political or economic will on others with coercion or intimidation?
Okay. I don't believe in initiating violence, though I do believe in defense. If somebody is attacking me, I certainly feel I have the license to not get killed, or to do my best to
agree
defend
completely
myself.
with you.
When it comes to coercion, to exert political will, I think that there's a difference in what some people call coercion and other people call the social contract right here in the Constitution.
Okay.
So, I don't think it's the government's job to be oppressive to the majority of society, but I do think that there are outliers who, like, say, pedophiles. I want a government that's going to stop pedophile, right?
I agree.
I want a government that's going to stop egregious misbehavior.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the government does have the power to coerce
Mm-hmm.
and even use force when necessary. Because like if there's a serial killer going through my neighborhood, I'm okay if the cop shoots a guy.
Perfect. And I was going to articulate, of course, to make it more clear that if you agree that our rights, and that would pretty much answer to your point that you may articulated right now, ends when other people's rights start.
Right.
So with that conditions, we are pretty much supposed to be free to do everything we want until we do not endanger other people or we deprive other people of their rights.
Yes.
Correct. So this is pretty much a philosophical foundation for our conversation.
We're still going forward.
Because, now we're going to talk about things I think we may agree. For example, the legalization of some plant, okay? So,
I know a plant that I would like to see legalized.
okay, I say all plants, in my opinion, should be legalized, but we will go there. So that's important because we don't believe in violence. I don't believe in violence. People sometimes, they have this sort of stereotype. Oh, you like guns, you must be violent. No, I believe in peace. For me, guns is a deterrent to stop, first of all, a threat, more important, to deter. And at the end of the day, for example, they say, oh, you must like hunting. No, I don't have a rifle to hunt. I don't even like meat very much. I am...
That's probably a good diet.
I have a rifle, first of all, is a philosophical point of view. In Rome...
Like Mozambique.
It's in Rome, for example. Julius Caesar, when went to Gaul and conquered Gaul, here is a beautiful painting. It's very sad, but I say it's beautiful. It's an artistic painting. You see all these Gauls... these barbarians, but they are not barbarians, they're people from France, actual France, defeated. And the king, this emperor, the wannabe new emperor of Rome, it's Caesar sitting down on his throne, and all giving, surrendering their weapons. The bottom line, in the all civilization of human history, slaves never were able to be armed.
That's on your truck out front.
Exactly. And so for me, that's the most important thing. And to be able here in Arizona, that is not a privilege, is not something that like in the rest of the world, I supposed to ask a permit from the government.
Oh,
it's a right, okay? A law-abiding citizen, I have the right, period. So that's why I say the point we were talking about here, violence for me, not having a gun is not because I'm violent. I do not believe in violence. I believe in peace. And one of the ways to preserve peace and freedom, unfortunately, sometimes you need to defend it. That's simple as that. So I would never initiate fights, but I would defend and put my life between an innocent and a bad person. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, well, there is an aspect of society, especially if they were brought up in a brutal and aggressive way, that are going to tend towards violence, going to tend towards aggression themselves. In times of economic disaster, we see more of that, but it's not universal in society.
I understand. At least the point is, the humanity, unfortunately, is made of good and bad.
Yes, it
is. In the beginning. So we need to admit that there is some bad, and we need to be prepared. And I'm just talking about the criminal, because for me, honestly, I don't need a $1,000 rifle to defend myself from a criminal.
Right.
Sometimes a 2x4 and my pen will do the job, okay?
Right.
I have a rifle to defend my freedom against a tyrannical government, foreign or domestic. Simple as that. I don't care which party.
The guy who wrote most of the Constitution, James Madison, said that if all men were angels, we wouldn't need government. But since we're not all angels, we need to have a government that's strong enough to defend us from each other and from itself.
Yeah, and also, there's another thing George Washington said, that government, is kind of a strange, different type of servant, that. We will talk about that later. But let's go back anyway to the point. You do not believe in violence, feel the same. We do not believe in coercion anybody else. And at the same time, we believe that our rights end when other people's rights start.
Right.
Perfect. Now, let's go to the next question. Legalization. Let's talk about that. This is something
I'd love to.
Very connected. Okay. Tell me, first of all, you are a very good activist. I mean, it's very important activist in our county for the legalization of what?
Cannabis, marijuana.
Okay.
I actually, I'm glad you've given me this opportunity. I'd like to make a little bit of an explanation of where things are on that issue.
Okay.
I've been volunteering with this organization, Safer Arizona. That's the people who work on legislative changes in marijuana laws, trying to reform marijuana laws. It was founded by Dennis Bolke, Robert Clark, and myself back in March of 13.
Okay.
at a normal meeting in Sierra Vista. We've worked on...
Keep going. We have another 60 seconds.
We've worked on a variety of ways to change laws, including a citizens initiative for full legalization, different bills that were at the State House. We also have some city ordinances, which I'd like to talk about in greater depth after we come back from commercial.
We will go back. Now, just to let you know, listeners, don't go away because we have so many more questions. I mean, I realize we need 6 hours show here with Michael today, but we have only 2. We have 1 more to go.
Yes.
And we will do the best job we can. So don't go away. Also, we'll open calls pretty soon in the second hour, but I need to first go through some most important questions. We're talking about right now legalization of a plant, and we'll talk about what if everybody says, no, you can't? Why somebody else should be still in control of our body, especially if I do not endanger others, and especially if I'm paying for my own whatever I want to put in my body. But more important, I always say, who is the real owner of your body? The government, the collectivist, or yourself? Because we need to answer first to the question. If I really own my body, I shouldn't not ask permit to anybody to what I can eat, drink, or smoke. That's my more important thing. If somebody else must give me a permit, that means I'm not in control of my body. Okay? Anyway, ready to go, ready for the next hour, a few minutes of sponsors. Do not go away. Ciao.
Freaking out, man.
You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men power want?
Hey, we are back. Time is running short. I can't believe it. I just started the first hour. We went through just the introduction almost. Michael, we are back on the air.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Yes.
Come on, 3 minutes. Tell me whatever you want to tell me about what you're doing about this marijuana legalization.
I spent the last year basically working as the legislative liaison for Safer Arizona, which is an organization working on changing marijuana laws. I, in specific, worked at the state capitol trying to get legislators to change their attitudes and then, in specific, advancing pieces of legislation. This article was done about me in October 2013's Culture magazine, and this is actually the legislature that we've been polling and talking to. By now, we've talked to over half of these people in a sit-down.
Okay.
Mostly what we were advancing is this bill, which is HB 2474, started by Mark Cardenas.
Okay.
It was a bill to end felony arrest in Arizona. Right now, 18,000 people get arrested each year, and all those arrests start out as a felony.
Wow.
While prosecuting attorneys may say that we plea bargain most of those things down, we didn't consider that it was justice to have somebody's life be subject to a prosecutor's whim.
Yeah.
So we advanced this for about 6 months. We ended up with 13 different sponsors, all of them Republican, though we spoke to people on both sides of the aisle. Meanwhile, here in LD5, which is my home legislative district, Senator Ward, who had been my wife's opponent in the 2012 election, advanced this piece of legislation with Sonny Borelli as her co-sponsor and Kimberly Yee, who is a noted anti-cannabis warrior.
Okay.
Now, when this bill first came out, its expressed purpose, the message that they gave out to the public was that it was about the legalization of industrial hemp,
okay,
the separation of hemp from marijuana, which we championed at Safer Arizona, which I championed in particular. I had met with Kelly Ward multiple times when we first met, though she was a medical doctor. She did not know what the endocannabinoid receptor system was. So there's been a lot of educating. But when this bill came out, we found out that it reaffirms the definition of cannabis as any preparation of marijuana. So any salts, concentrates, resins, for example, this chapstick, that's not the chapstick.
Okay.
Is a chapstick or is it a narcotic?
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that should be prohibited by law because it heals my chapped lips?
Okay.
Or is it a chapstick? And should that be, a sign of the innovation that people can do? So, Safe Arizona suggested that to the Judiciary Committee and to Senator Ward herself, this amendment, which protected people who were medical patients, so they could have concentrates and resins, and we could still have the definition of industrial hemp.
Okay.
Instead, Senator Ward did what was called a strike everything amendment.
Okay.
The strike everything amendment took out all of that other language, created a new designation and certification for industrial hemp, which we applauded. It's a great
Okay.
idea. And then went back to, once again, reaffirming the felony sentencing for marijuana arrests.
All right. What I would like to do, I mean, this is your official position on records, and
Right.
At least you are on record.
Right.
Now, what I would like to do for Senator Ward, she's always welcome here. She doesn't even need to be today. I know she's busy. She's doing some meetings.
Yes.
Whenever she can, the next week or so, or even just make a statement in writing to debunk, or at least to reply to your
Yes.
statement, because I like to be fair with everybody. I don't want to just have one person saying something that the person cannot rebuke to things. So
Let me say, I'm
Please.
really glad that you would give Senator Ward and Representative Borelli a chance to justify this Trojan horse of a bill, which I
Okay.
think was a slap in the face to their pro-cannabis supporters around Mojave County. So I would like her
Perfect,
to
perfect.
defend this.
Let me just do this, because I would like to do one time. We will have a show probably just about this, a full hour, just about this topic. Today is about your campaign, is your philosophy, who you are.
That's
okay?
only one of the
Okay.
issues in
now,
my campaign.
I give you
You're
my
right.
3 words about legalization. Okay.
Okay.
We talked before. That's why I wanted to go from the beginning. First of all, we have rights. Well,
I should finish by saying
Go ahead,
that
sorry.
bill that I was talking about
Yes.
was defeated at a hearing. Safe Arizona was there. We spoke on trying to cover the issue on both sides, why we supported industrial hemp and why there were problems with this bill. When it was done, Kelly Ward's co-sponsor, Kimberly Yee, voted against the bill herself. So
Okay.
it was obviously a bad piece of legislation. And I'm glad that though we couldn't advance our own legislation, 2474, the harm reduction measure,
Okay.
we were able to stop a bad bill twice.
Okay.
That's the story I wanted
This is
to say.
all I know now. I'm reporting the news, and at least I'm reporting your side of the
Yes.
fact. And I would like to have the side of Senator Ward and Representative Borelli to be on record, so people can make up their own
I
decision.
look forward to that on
And more
record
importantly,
myself.
you listeners, don't believe anything we're saying here. Do your research, okay? I mean, I always say, challenge everything. We're here to challenge things. We are not just here to listen, okay? So, okay, now, my point is about marijuana, okay, or legalization. You say that, of course, people should have a permit, okay, and be taxed, okay? Correct?
I say that that's a way to make it function in our society that is incredibly interdependent.
Okay, so, but tell me exactly, let's say your ideal bill or whatever bill now you're trying to push through, how would work? Everybody can have access to marijuana, like Colorado system, some sort of a...
I'd say that it would be akin to alcohol or tobacco, that you'd have to be an adult. I don't think that it's the kind of influence that helps with the development of children.
Okay.
So I would say, except in medical cases, it would be prohibited from children. After that, I would believe that there should be a sales tax similar to sales tax. I know that there are a lot of people who don't believe in taxes.
Okay.
I'm one that do.
Okay.
And then there would also be taxes on the manufacturer when they sold it to the wholesaler or the retailer.
Okay.
So then, you wouldn't have direct, like Colorado's taxes, if you add up the state tax and the county tax and the municipal tax, it comes out to like 32%.
Okay.
Ruben Gallego, a representative from LD 27 in Phoenix, had a bill 2558, which worked on taxes at the wholesaling level and then just a regular sales tax.
Michael.
Because the idea is to not treat it like a sin. It's
I would like to
treat
keep it
something that
simple.
people do.
For me, it's a plant, okay? By the way, let me explain to my listeners. Most of the listeners already know I can stand even the smell. I don't smoke it. I don't need it. But it's not about me. It's about the principle of freedom. We
Yes.
said before, if we are... the first question I always ask to myself and to my guest, who owns our body? Us or the government and the collectivism? That means, should I be able to own my body? That means, should I be able to do the choices that I think they are better for my body without the approval of the government until my behavior does not infringe on other people's rights? If we agree in that topic, in that conversation, this sort of philosophical point of view, I should have the fear to ask the permit to the government or to the collectivists if I want to drink beer or if I want to grow a plant.
I agree on the philosophical level, but that's not where I live.
I understand. I'm just talking about, first of all, the first
I think
step.
we have to work in what the reality is, which is if people don't have cards like this, they are at greater risk of persecution. That is the reality that we face. So whether or not I agree that in hypothetical we should have permits and taxes and everything,
No.
I know that I need to make something work in where I live.
I understand. But before we go there now, if I like basil, okay? I grow my
I
own
like
basil.
basil too.
I like basil, I like sage.
Yes.
I grow my own little vegetable. What I'm afraid is that if the government has that power, I'm not just talking about the retail, because I believe the sale tax is part of what keeps this society going. Some part is waste,
Right.
but still, sale tax. But when I am my own garden, and let's say tomorrow I want to start to grow another plant beside basil. I like, for example, the smell of whatever you call it, marijuana.
Sure.
Should I pay tax on that? Should I be taxed? Should I be control over that?
Well, let's say I like your basil example because I grow basil myself. I really like the basil that I grow myself. It's readily available, but if I don't take good care of it, it's not there, and then I have to start from scratch. And and there's scarcity. So I could go to I could go to Walmart and I could pay for basil, and if I bought my basil there, I would pay the store, who would then pay the wholesaler,
Okay.
and so on. And I think that, and there, in some things there is a tax, and I think that that's a logical system.
No, I understand. I'm talking
So-
about in my home.
One more level,
Yes.
though. If I wanted to go to a boutique store and get, say, Thai basil, it's a different flavor and
Yes,
stuff.
I have that. Yes.
Then I would be expecting to pay more.
Okay.
And as long as I grew my own basil, I think that's fine. I could share my basil with my friends. But if I wanted to go into the business of selling my basil,
I'm talking for
there
personal
should be-
use. For
right,
personal use.
For personal use, that should be legal.
That's my only point I was
Right.
thinking about. I'm not talking about commercial activity. I'm talking about if I am free man, I should be able to grow apples.
Yes.
I should be able to grow basil, and I should be able to call something that even could be marijuana. By the way, I don't want to give people bad ideas, but I heard stories that sage can be much more dangerous than many other things. If you smoke sage, you're going to start to see ghosts out there, okay?
Salvia.
So it's something that, it's scary when the government or the collectivist has the power to decide what you can do in your own home on your own skin.
Right. If they were out there trying to get rid of, dangerous plants, they should do something about the Jimson weed.
Exactly. So that's my only point. Let's move on because, as I said, I wish we had more time. We will talk about this
I would
next
love
time.
to talk about it further, but let's go on these other issues.
We
You
went
have a pile of notes there.
I know. Look at this.
Yeah, love that.
I work a week. Okay. For you.
know.
Okay. Now let's
I
get to
wanna
the
read
real
those.
stuff. Okay. Social Security. What is your position on the Social Security? Please be short. Go straight to the point.
I believe in Social Security. I think that it is in the preamble to the Constitution. I think that it's in Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 1 of the Constitution, the parameters that create the opportunity for something such as Social Security. It says that we should provide for the common defense and promote the general welfare. And then in Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 1, it says that the government has the right to raise taxes and borrow money to provide for the public defense and promote the general welfare. Here it is.
Okay. Question though. Welfare, common welfare. First of all, where does the government means that it owns my labor? Because if we look at the situation, we believe in the principle that I have rights until I don't infringe on other people's rights. And I do not believe in the coercion. I do not believe in violence, psychological, legal, or even physical. The bottom line, we had our founders, we didn't have Social Security until FDR, correct me?
Is correct.
Okay, so we had a big part of our history.
Yes.
We were doing somehow.
Poorly. I think
I
that's
don't
the
know.
word I'm looking for.
I don't know.
Poorly.
I don't. Okay, it's opinionable. I don't want to. I say we're not here to convince. We're a different point of view. For me, my point is this one. I am here. I'm working.
Right.
Okay. I believe in freedom of choice. I believe that I should be able to choose. These are is my labor.
Right.
It's my money. Maybe I have somebody that I think is smarter than the government that can take care of my retirement money, or there are different type of options.
Right.
I may also just go straight to the gambling and just smoking it all if I want to. It's my money. And
Now-
let me finish, please.
Okay.
I don't think in a free society the government should have the power to coerce me without even having any option to opt out to something that's supposed to be my money. I don't want to be part of this game. I want to work hard, save my money, and maybe do something else.
Okay. You don't. I thought the key thing that you said there is you don't want to be part of this game. And
it's my money.
If that's absolutely,
it's my money.
Well,
I'm not your slave.
If it's absolutely true, you don't want to be part of the game, then you've picked the right part of America to live in, Golden Valley.
No.
You can go out to a refuge and not interact with society. However, if you choose to interact with society, then you become part of society. And America, the Constitution, very explicitly, the Declaration of Independence is founded on John Locke's principles of the social contract.
Remember something, but we also have a sovereign citizen. We have also freedom or choose. We have also freedom to make mistakes. Otherwise, the role of government was never to be our nanny. And by the way, we know very well, and this is not an opinion, that the government, the last 20 or 30 years, what happened to the...
Wait, what do you mean the government not... This whole thing is telling us what not to do because people have a tendency to do stuff they're not supposed to.
This is what... No, wait. This is what not to do to the government. This is not for us. This is to constrain the government. The Constitution is to constrain the government, not the citizens.
Constrain the citizens who are running the government.
No, this is to constrain the government.
Isn't a third party non-entity. The government is the conglomeration of the individuals, and if the individuals are breaking the laws, then that's what the laws are for, is to constrain the individuals.
You work. I work.
Yes.
We all work. Or
Yes.
some of us work.
Law dictionary.
Okay. Now, when I work, in the history of humanity, what happened? You work in the Middle Age, you work under the Romans, and you always have to go back. And let's say in the Middle Age, you have no option. You must give part of your salary or whatever you make to the king or to your lord. Okay. America was the first experiment that till 1913. Okay, we did not have this sort of direct income tax until was created that private Federal Reserve with the Federal Reserve Act.
Now, I'm going to say that the creation of income tax, that's a constitutional amendment. The creation of the Federal Reserve is not part of this constitutional amendment, and those are separate things. I do not support the Federal Reserve. I think that's a boondoggle that's cost America hundreds of trillions of dollars and created misery for private profit. But I do think that if you look at the history of the United States, you would see our entire history has been us trying to live up to the ideals espoused in this document. And we have failed miserably through most of our history. As we continue to advance, we perfect. And I see the addition of the concept of income tax as a legitimate advance in trying to improve the society that we live in.
Okay, let me get you the income tax. First of all, we agree that the Federal Reserve is a private corporation anyway that was pretty much took over our country in 1913.
Through coercion, in fact.
Through coercion.
And deception.
Good. So we know that because I've been trying to really share this information with our listeners, my listeners, that first of all, the Federal Reserve is not even part of the government. Before the 1913, okay, we may have our own problem, but at least one thing we were doing, we were in control of our own printing machine.
Money.
Okay.
Right.
The point is, every time, people must understand, every time a dollar gets printed, or digitally printed, today is all digital,
right?
We have debt.
Yes.
With this cartel.
We don't just buy the dollar, we buy the dollar and interest.
Exactly. It's a cartel, you know that. It's a private corporation. People can see it's a charter in Delaware. You can also see part of the shareholders.
Further, it is a tool that's used to manipulate the economy towards the advance of, let's say, the 1%, but certainly specific corporate interests.
Exactly. Let's think about it. We did not have any world war until...
Because there's all sorts of rich people, and they're not all on that one side.
I don't even call rich. These people make money out of thin air.
Right.
So let's not mix regular wealth or people working for a living and people that they just need to say, magic, now I make $1 billion today just because I print it, okay?
Yes.
So the point is this. I'm glad we are going to this because it's something we try to educate both sides, the Democrat, Republican, whatever, and libertarians, that we have an entity, it's called the Private Federal Reserve, okay? People go out and check it out yourself. This is it's a corporation anyway that has the power, the sovereign power to print money out of thin air, and on top charges interest. So every time, let's say they cut $1 for welfare, okay, or whatever other type of situation they want to do, not only we have to get this dollar back to us, but also we need to give them the interest, and we become slaves of this machine, pretty much. So if you really want to, let's say, opt to think that we want to help people, let's say you believe in your philosophy, we need to have welfare, fine. But would it be easier and much more logical to at least have our own printer? We don't need to be charged the interest out of that.
Oh, I think you'd find that most of the ground level Democrats, the grassroots, the people who are actually making the social difference have concerns about the Federal Reserve. As you pointed out earlier in the conversation, there is a moneyed interest that, let's just say, buys the politicians to say what they want, and in many on both sides of the aisle. I see it more clearly in the Republican side, but I know that there's sellouts on the Democrat side too.
Let's go there 1 second. Now, before I finish, you ever heard about the Grace Commission report?
Will you say that again?
Grace Commission report, 1984. I tell you,
let me act like I don't.
Okay, perfect. That's why we're here to learn from each other. I like to learn from you, and hopefully I can share something I learned. Okay, 1984, January 15, President Reagan, he did an independent commission. Pretty much what he found that most of the revenues coming from the income tax, people that pay our income tax, bottom line, everything goes just to pay the debt to the Federal Reserve. Most of our income tax goes just to pay the debt to this monster.
Right.
Okay.
I can see that.
There is nothing going to services, to helping the poor, or to help anybody. Most of these, and this is.
I don't believe it's a direct earmark, but the money goes from here straight to there. But the equivalency.
The point is, in other words, all individual income tax revenue are gone before one nickel is spent on the services which taxpayers expect from their government. So. This is something that, whenever I hear people, we got to pay taxes so we can help the people. No, whenever you pay your income tax, all it does, you pay the debt to this monster machine called the private Federal Reserve. And it's not my opinion. This was something official, independent investigation. But I invite people to do your own researches.
I again say, it's not a direct line. When I pay my income tax, I don't write Federal Reserve on the check. The monies may be equivalent, but that's not to say that we aren't getting advantages. I actually came on like a county road and a state road and a national road to get to this station. 2 different states, in fact, and 2 different cities, in fact. So, and I'm going to go back on those. And all those different governments need to have money to accomplish the things I expect out of them.
All I'm saying is people understand that... the roads and all the other services, we had it before the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve, all you do, you pay the debt on your income tax to them.
I would like to see the Federal Reserve and the practice of fractional reserve banking and credit default swaps stopped. I'd like to see Glass-Steagall reinstated. So I'm on many of these
I agree with that too. That's one of the... I'm bringing out things that I think we may have some common ground. Great. Now, let's go back to other things I think we may hopefully agree. Let's see. Not necessarily. For example... let's talk about the Patriot Act under Bush. What do you think about that?
The which act?
Patriot Act. Patriot Act.
Oh.
Patriot. Few words.
The best possible angle I have on Bush is that he was an outrageous and unacceptable tyrant, and the Patriot Act was a power grab that has led to disaster ever since. Many of the problems that people have under the Obama administration are continuations of stuff that Bush initiated in the Patriot Act. I think that it was forced through Congress in an undue fashion. I think it was prepared before 9/11, and it was they used the opportunity to exploit it. And I don't think that what it embodies is what actual patriotism is.
I completely agree with you on that one. And people need to understand the magic word. First of all, cui bonus, cui benefit. This was written way before 9/11. And there is nothing patriotic in the Patriot Act. If we believe in the Constitution, like we said before, the Bill of Rights pretty much has been already killed, the first part. Now, I want to be fair, because I'm not for Bush, not for Obama. But the point is, Obama, he had a chance. He said during the election they wanted to stop it, he wanted to close Guantanamo, and they want, of course, to repeal, at least try. He had a chance few times to not sign it again. You know what happened? The guy is a sellout. The guy, he did exactly the opposite of what he said during his campaign. So much that Now I'll give you the magic word. Many of my listeners already know about it. It's called National Defense Authorization Act, 2012 and 2013. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just, you probably know it, but I want to go straight to the point. There are many parts, of course, of this bill. The most terrible, dangerous, scary things about this one, that this is like a Patriot Act on steroid. Because now we have, for the first time in America, the habeas corpus. We are before pre-Magna Carta. We are pretty much, the way it is, the king, the state in this case, just because suspects of us, any of us, and then we will go there, that they have a pretty much big discretion to call us
Right.
potential suspected terrorists.
Yes.
And we can disappear with no any type of due process, with no type of any type of lawyers, judge, jury, and definitely arrested on top for the first time since the Civil War by the military. Does it freak you out a little bit, this one?
It freaks me out a lot. And in fact,
Good.
there's so many different points of what you just said. Many of the people, such as myself, who were liberals, we accepted the direction that Obama was going to take because he was preferable to McCain, and then accepted the direction that Obama took because he was preferable to Romney. Certainly when it comes to restoring the civil rights abuses, the national security excuses for power grabs that had been initiated under the Bush administration, I wanted to see more from Obama.
More.
I do want to say, I wanted him to be more correcting of those abuses. I was one of the people who had worked in 2008 to advance Dennis Kucinich's efforts to impeach Bush, and felt like we were suffering under a tremendous war crimes regime. Wanted to see some rectification.
Why don't we try to impeach Obama? He's bombing the crap out of Pakistan and drones more than ever everywhere. Then Bush, I mean, he's admitted.
I'm going to say that when it comes to Obama, the things that he has done to me do not rise to the level of impeachment. However, I do see that that's something that I fear actually for our society as a whole, is that the next couple of years are going to be dominated by a right-wing circus of obstructionism under the guise of patriotism and of impeachment, when actually it's just a diversion to keep the rich in power.
Michael, the way I look at this, I am the first one to admit my mistakes. In 2001, I was kind of a zombie, okay? I was part of, taken by the propaganda, and even I always still a Republican. I don't consider myself allegiance to a party, allegiance to the truth, most important, and to freedom. So my point is, when I was wrong about Bush, I immediately pointed out.
Yes.
People used to laugh at me. They used to call me names. And I was probably one of the first Republicans to say the Patriot Act is the preamble to tyranny, complete tyranny. Now, I was expecting and hoping from many Democrats that they put aside for a moment partisanship.
Yes.
And to say, wait a second, this man, I don't even call it president for me, Mr. Obama, this is my opinion, this guy is a Bush on steroids. It's like a Bush of 400 push. I'm talking about...
I don't know the same doctor with all these steroids going on.
Okay, let's just talk about the political aspect of international...
anti-war protests over the last 4 years have involved people from both parties.
I don't see very much.
Well, the anti-war protests that I attend, I see libertarians. One of the notable Phoenix Republican political leaders is a Matt Papke from Tempe.
I know Matt. I know very well Matt.
You know that Matt shows up at the same protests that the Democrats do.
That's fine. But the
liberals do.
This is still a little bit grassroots. I'm talking about the bigger level. But as I said, all I hope people on the other side, if you're listening, maybe the last time you listened to me, that's fine. Please, let's get together on one thing. Tyranny doesn't really care about which card is carrying. Democrat, Republic, they're doing the same job. They're doing the same job.
Let me ask you, though.
Yes.
I want you to look at what the 1990s showed us from the tactics that the Republican leadership are willing to use. Now, you may not care about the politics the same way I do, but I definitely see that the direction of our country is shaped by donkeys and elephants playing games against each other. In the 1990s, we saw the Republicans used faux outrage over Clinton infidelities to paralyze government for 4 years. I do see that there are things that people on the right at this time have objections to
Michael.
about Obama, but I don't see that they're any more valid of a reason to hijack our national direction
Michael.
than Whitewater was for Clinton.
Let me tell you
Period.
something.
Thank you.
I need to focus on now I put everything on the side, because when I have a piece of law, as much as it's unconstitutional, that tell us any one of us can disappear, like Chile with Pinochet, what they call the White Death, or
Yes.
like during Mussolini, people disappear in the middle of the night, no access to judge, jury, indefinitely, and they can also torture you as an American citizen.
yeah.
Okay, for me that would be enough to get even the saint among the saints. This is a mortal sin to freedom, to what you call due process, to call constitution, and as much it may be done, in your opinion, good things on other aspect, there would be enough to say treason, treason, treason. Even if I was a Democrat, I would scream out treason, because this is the next step that Bush started it. Don't get me wrong, they are
Right.
together. They are together. These people work for the same private federal interest. Okay? And then, of course, they sprinkle around different of, minor issue that we can talk probably
Yes.
6 hours about. But the core, we are now in a dangerous situation, Mike.
I'm going to tell you that the Democrats that I associate with, in particular, I think of organizations like PDA, which is Progressive Democrats of America. I'm a vice chair in the Progressive Caucus in the state. And they have not backed off of pushing for reforms on these issues just because there's a Democrat in the White House.
I know you're different. I know that you are kind
Well,
of a
I'm not
grassroots.
saying that I alone am different. I'm saying that there is
are
an
other
entire
people,
movement.
but it's still a minor voice from like I know that. Anyway, let's move on. This is
Yes.
something I wanted just to keep going. War. According to the Constitution, our Constitution can declare war. And when was the last war declared, Mike?
Let's see. Congress can declare war, and I believe the last war that was completely declared was World War II.
Perfect. Excellent. So now, bottom line, we know that after World War II, we had some sort of international police force action under the final authority of the United Nations.
Yes.
That's the point. So when people say, we're at war in Iraq.
I'm going to say in conjunction with the United Nations, because we basically pull the United Nations around like our own puppy dog to do what we want when we want it.
I think it's pretty much maybe off and off, but that's not even the point. The point is still we believe in this Constitution, and the power of war, only Congress should have that very,
Oh, of course.
and that's why Congress, because every 2 years you can vote them out. Yeah, because if you don't like it, guess what? It's a very important thing.
Yeah.
Instead, we lost that, and now they call it war. Instead, it's just another machine for the military-industrial complex.
It is.
To pretty much bleed us to death, and more important, do immoral things in our name. Don't you agree on that?
I definitely agree on that, and I think that to say that our government is used by private interests to get its corporate will at a gunpoint is not out of line. And to say that but that is not saying that the citizens who decide that they're going to give their lives to trying to join the military and be good citizens are bad people.
No, I don't say that.
Dang, we have a lot of people who've been misused for scandal after scandal. And
Okay, I
atrocity
already know
after
your
atrocity.
position on Iraq, but I need to just question it. My point is, what is your position on Iraq, especially after even Bush admitted that Iraq had no weapons of mass destruction, no link to 9/11. This is official from his own voice. What do you think about that, quickly?
I've been on the record of opposing war against Iraq since 1990, and continued to oppose it when it was Clinton using sanctions, which led to the deaths of 400,000 Iraqi children, and continued to be opposed to a war in Iraq when Bush was in office, and then when Obama's in office.
Okay,
we
good.
do not need that war.
So now the point is this one, because we need to show. Sometimes I see this separation of forgetting. We were there denouncing Bush when also we found out there was a scam, and I was the first one to admit I was wrong. Okay, when early 2001, I was even a citizen yet. I didn't vote, but still I didn't know. Now, I hope that other Democrats start to understand, do not side just for your party, side for the truth. Because now, for example, we have this man, Mr. Obama. He could have stopped Afghanistan yesterday. He could have closed Guantanamo 6 years ago.
I'm going to say that second statement is not
Let me just
true.
finish one second. Excuse me. We are still in Iraq.
Yep.
We are still in Afghanistan till 2000, whatever.
Right.
Why?
I don't know how to answer that one, but I do know how to answer why we're still have Guantanamo, because I saw two different efforts by the executive branch to try to close Guantanamo be stopped by Republicans in Congress.
At least he has phone. Yes, Obama said he can do everything he wants. He got the phone and a pen. Executive order like that.
Okay.
Like
then
that.
let me take back my statement that the president can do whatever he wants,
But
because
he said
obviously
that.
he can't.
He said that. He does things on other aspect. I have many executive orders when it comes to the Second Amendment that they're pretty much black and white. But the point is, let's be 1 second straight to the point. This guy, this man, is there. He had 6 years to do and undo a lot of bad things that were done by the other administration.
Yes.
Okay. Now, talking
That's a
about
disappointment.
That's the point. Disappointment. Come on. I mean, let's not be shy. I don't want to get like a plier and put it out of your mouth, because it's not about being right. I wish I was wrong.
I'm
wish.
a reformer, and I want to change
Yeah.
the problems that are going on in society now, whether they come from the donkeys or the elephants.
Look, invasion of Libya. What business do we have to go to Libya? Try to go there and bomb the stuff out of Syria. I mean, wait a second. This is not what we're supposed to do. Being involved in Egypt.
Speaking of that, Matt Papke that I referred to
Yes.
earlier, he and I were together at 9/11 at the state capitol in a protest against impending war on Syria.
I know that. I heard about that. Then also Pakistan. How many more drones we've been killing people without trial, without any type of due process, you know? I mean, this is serious matter. So that's all I'm saying. We need to stop 1 second thinking about party, and I hope the listeners, we disagree on some other aspect about economics or other things, we unite on two basic important things.
Yes.
First of all, who control our government, who control the printing our money. The most important aspect of our decision comes from the Federal Reserve, the private Federal Reserve. So, because they control the policies, they control, hey, if you want to do this, you need to have their support. They can destroy the market. They can prop up the market like they've been doing. So we need to regain the type of control over this sort of print.
Yes.
Okay?
And that's something that, again, you're going to find people on both sides of the political spectrum are very well aware of that. We're trying to figure out how to get that power back, or to get that power for the first time.
Exactly.
'Cause I don't know
So,
if
we
plutocrats have ever been out of power.
We got to try that, to learn that, unite for a moment and try to remove that man behind the curtain. That's what it is.
Yes.
And they try to make us fight against each other. That's what they're trying to do. And number two, we need to understand that we must be very bold to be the first people in our own party to denounce when we see things that are bad, okay?
Yes.
Keep it simple. I was the first one when McCain, 3.5 years ago, almost 4, came to the county, and I knew that he's a fraud. He was a fraud, and he's a war criminal, and he has a lot of bad things. He's a globalist, and I wanted to tell him politely, but I wanted to put his voting records out.
Wait, hold on. How do you tell somebody politely that they're a war criminal?
Yes. Because I'm a civil person.
Oh, okay.
I believe in peace, but at the
Excuse
same
me,
time,
sir.
I believe in peace, but at the same time, I tell you straight into your eyes what I think is wrong.
Right.
And it's our right. Instead, at the time, the Republican Party was pretty much make me look like I was a crazy person. Now we know that, unfortunately, I wish I were wrong. All the Arizona GOP came to the conclusion that pretty much now they agree with that. Okay,
Right,
at
yes.
least that does not represent our
But
principle.
wait, is that why the Republican Party decided to censor John McCain? I thought it was because they thought he was too liberal.
Other aspect is
Yeah.
true. And by the way, liberal, what does it mean today? Nothing.
I
Obama's
guess
supposed
not.
to be liberal. I don't see any liberal. I don't see any liberty. I don't see any peace. Do you see peace? I don't see peace.
No.
I wish. Listen,
Yeah.
I don't want to be right. I wish that Obama was the half of the things he said, especially when it came to international policy, especially came to the war, and to regain and restore our basic inalienable rights, removing the Patriot Act, reinstating the Constitution and Bill of Rights. I wish it was true. It is not. It is another stage of Bush, deeper and darker. And that's a fact. That's what I'm saying. Now, let's go back, because there is so much, and I say, the time is unbelievable. Next, let's go something completely, I need to get something that we don't agree. Come on, otherwise we're going to get too many things we agree here. People say, what the heck? You agree almost on most of the things so far. Okay, healthcare, affordable care, healthcare, okay, Obamacare. My bill was $150 a month before this Obamacare. I was pretty happy. I got my Humana bill. I was doing great. Life was not that bad. Now, the new bill I have in the mail, over $400. Question mark. Why the government can force an individual, in this case me or many other millions, to buy a product or a service And more important, where is affordable here? Everybody got their double or triple at least. Go ahead.
First, just check. Are you a parent?
No, I'm single.
Okay, so if you were a parent, the government could force you to buy diapers. You know that. Here's what I'm saying.
See, force, that's bad
Here's what I'm saying. Because if you didn't take care of your children, you're breaking a law.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm no parent.
That may be true, and if you didn't
it's true.
didn't go out on the highway, then you may not have to buy a driver's license. But
No, I don't buy. I don't. Wait a second. Listen to me. I don't buy a driver license
or health insurance. Actually, you do. You have to pay. You have to pay.
Okay.
Department of Motor Vehicle money to
but
get a
I have a
driver's
choice. I don't need to go on the highway if I want to. I don't want to. I
That-
still have a choice. And for example, let's say
But no, you don't have the same choice. Now, earlier when you were talking about the rights of you and your body, if your body actually goes out in the desert and lives and dies and doesn't interact with society, I guess that's one thing.
No,
But hardly anybody does that. And when people say they don't want to pay into a system that provides for health care for all, they still end up at the emergency room costing us inordinate amounts of money at higher rates than if we had a universal health care program.
Okay, first of all, let's try to get apples with apples and oranges with oranges, okay?
I think that's a good idea.
First of all, I have still the freedom, if I don't want to jump in the car, to stay home, and nobody's going to send me the bill for anything.
No, but you're living.
One second. I'm talking about now car, okay? Let's say, for example, car insurance, okay? Car insurance is made to go back to the same principle we were talking about before, to defend other people's rights. In case I got in an accident, okay, we must guarantee that I have enough funds to pay for somebody else.
Right.
But at the same time, you see, I can choose between insurances. For my car, I don't need to get the insurance also for myself or for my own car, because at the end of the day, it's my car, it's my body. Okay, so completely different here. If we really believe in the system that we say that we are owning our body, not the government, not the collectivist. So this is my body. I can smoke, drink, eat, take pills if I want to. I may not even want to go to the doctor. I may just go die. Okay, it's my choice.
You may, but most don't.
Okay, that doesn't matter. The point is that one. Number two, I do not infringe on other people's rights, because I'm not like I'm driving, I'm going to hit somebody else. It's my body. I don't want to. I have enough funds to take care of myself if I want to. Otherwise, it's my business. Now, number three, why we have an entity called the government pretty much forcing me by force with audit, IRS, and all the show. This is an act of violence and force to buy a product. Tomorrow, with this philosophy now, they can say everybody must buy at least a car with, 6 wheels instead of 4, okay? Or they can say, for example, by the way, you don't need to have that plant at home because we tell you what is good for you. So that's no more a right. It becomes a privilege. It becomes an imposition. Go ahead.
Okay. In the same way that when you drive on the highway, you are interacting with other people. When it comes to transportation, by merely being alive in America, citizen, not citizen, free, slave, whatever, you are interacting with our national health care system.
Why?
Because when you need health care, you're going to get it somehow, somewhere. And people end up in the emergency room saying that they don't want to buy some sort of health care here or there, or take care of their pre-existing conditions, or maintain their health in the first place. And then they end up at the emergency room, where it costs all of us money.
Okay, but you force me now to pay for somebody else. That's the bottom line.
Of course.
So
I mean, there's no way around that, because what are we going to do? We're not going to let those people die on the sidewalk.
Can I say something?
This isn't Warsaw Ghetto.
Can I tell you something? I was very poor when I came to this country.
Yes.
I was in Los Angeles. I had no money for anything.
Right.
I had to have some emergency. It's called free clinics. There is a lot of doctors out there. They do a good humanitarian job.
Right.
You need some help. They give you help. You give them what you can. And would be more doctors who would do that. And there is a lot of churches out there or private organization. And also there is another thing. There are also some aspects. There's some hospital that can give you special deals. Every time I came here, I always tried to take care of myself.
Right.
Even when I was poor, I never asked to the society, from the society, or to the government, from the government, a dime. I may ask you a favor. I may try to work harder. The point now is this. When I tell you something, I come from Italy. In Italy, we have, and we had since ever, this socialized medication. And I'm not just talking abstract. I have family member that had serious diseases, like cancer. The only reason why they're alive, because they had to pay out of their own pocket for the same doctor that supposedly you're supposed to see through the government healthcare.
Yes.
But it's not going to take care of you before you're dead. It means 12 months after.
Right.
The system does not work. I wish it was true. I understand many American people that they have good intention to think about idealize something that would be nice for everybody. It is a freaking nightmare. Let me tell you. You go in Italy, to go to Italy, I went to the hospital for minor things.
Right.
I just tried to go to the witchcraft. it takes me less stress and less time. But that's what I'm saying.
Let me address some of your points.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, one of the things that I pointed out is that your mere existence in America means that you are interacting with our healthcare system. And so I would love to see the idea of universal healthcare. I think that healthcare is a right, not a privilege. And I think that that's embodied in the Constitution.
Where?
Again,
Where in the Constitution?
Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 1.
Tell me.
Again.
With the general welfare?
Let's see.
General welfare, right?
Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, impose excises, pay debts, and to provide for the common defense and the general welfare of the United States. Now, I'm not talking about the institution of welfare like your welfare check. I'm talking about looking out for the good of society.
You know what means general? Means that we're all supposed to be treated equally. Instead, here we have a redistribution of wealth. That means you need to steal something from somebody to give it to somebody else. That's not general. That's selective. That's very selective. General means everybody's supposed to have the same. Now we have two different type of categories. People that must give what they have to give it to somebody else. That's not general. That's selective. But as I said, I wish we had 3 hours just to talk about this.
Just to be sure, you don't really want to have a society that's based on individual charity more than government structure. You don't want a society that's based on religious charity other than government, more than government structure, because then you're going to give yourself to a theocracy and they don't have their rules.
I believe in freedom. I don't believe in theocracy. I keep my religious belief for myself. I'm not even telling you what I believe. It's my business.
Right.
All I'm saying that I don't believe in the excuse under something that may sound good or whatever.
Let me give you a caveat back about
Yes.
about the ACA.
Yeah.
The ACA was cobbled together, and it's a mismatch of different special interests getting their piece of the pie. It is not the solution that I was looking for. It is better than things were before for many people. It is not better for everyone. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a step on the road to universal health care.
I call it a step to fascism because according to Mussolini, he called it corporatism, the union between corporation and state. That's what it's about. The only winners
This
so
isn't
far.
the initiation of that.
I understand, but the point is the results. Now we have, look at the stock market, they skyrocket. All these health insurance companies, they had the biggest profit out of this because now we are all forced to pay for their services, and we pay for service that we don't even need. I mean, I'm a single guy. I have no kids. Why am I paying for abortion? Why am I paying for now I have under my different type of bills, I have to take care of pills or birth control and other things. Why?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
The point
'Cause if
is
you
now-
don't have an abortion, I don't know what you mean about paying
I am
for
paying
one.
now for birth control under my insurance, the new insurance bill. I'm paying for things that I don't have. I have
You're
no
paying for your own birth control?
I'm paying for maternity.
Whose birth control? Whose maternity?
Doesn't matter. The insurance now, it's all upgraded in a way that even if you don't have the
So it's
the need.
a one size fits all. So
Yes.
So are you saying that shouldn't be something that people have access to?
That's
Because maybe
listen,
you don't need it, but somebody else who's
why
coming
should-
into the entrance, they need it as
But
well.
where should I pay for your own pills or for your condoms? You should pay for my own ammunitions.
I would say that we should pay for each other because we care about each other.
I
as a
want free
family, as a
ammunition.
government.
I would like to have from the government. I'll be able to pay for the birth control from somebody else when I get at least 200 rounds.
Be careful. Saying ammunition as birth control is not a good idea.
Why? It's my right.
It's a joke.
It's my
That's a
right. You
joke.
know, I don't
No,
do
but
that.
you say ammunition as birth control.
Listen, all I'm saying is this one. Somebody, in this case is the government, through the collectivists that voted for the government, is imposing to pay me, other individuals, for somebody else's needs that I don't even think they're basic vital needs. But even if they were, why should I pay for somebody else's birth control?
I
Why?
believe in a social contract which says that we all work for each other. We work together.
I believe in freedom of choice. I believe in freedom. I believe in peace and no coercion from the government. Let me leave you with the last words because I need to have you back. We didn't even scratch. I did such a great work here.
I'm still looking forward to getting back to those
But
notes.
listen, first of all, I want to thank you to be here because
Yes.
it was a great start. And I would like just to say something. It's not about you, but in general, the difference between people like me and people that believe in the ideology that we were talking about, that you may believe. The difference is, I think, we don't need us. You don't need us. I mean, you need us, but we don't need you. People like you had to resort to use the coercion of the government to force people like us into a utopia based on modifying people's behavior through threats of violence, jail, taxation. I swear to God, in front of God, my audience, as my witness, that I will die fighting with every mean I have been given before I will let America and the state of Arizona become another communist or socialist or collectivist failure like Italy that I left. I will do that in peace, with love, but I will do it till I can. I left Italy because of people, unfortunately, that we're talking today, and I will not leave America. This is my line in the sand. Michael, nothing personal, just business. I love you, and I wish you the best for your campaign. It's about life, my rights. God bless America, and may give us strength to come back here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.